Good evening, Chris Lee and Graham Doty of Southeastern 16 here on a Sunday night, ready to do a weekend recap of SEC baseball, which as always is presented by our friends at FanDuel. I'm your host, Chris Lee. Graham Doty with me. We're going to talk SEC baseball weekend results. The league goes 44-4. 15 of the league's 16 teams either swept their series or went 3 out of 4. We'll get into everybody. We'll get into our weekend highlights. We'll take your questions. We'll take your comments. We'll take your super chats, all those things. Speaking of our partners at FanDuel, LSU, currently the top national title favorite over at FanDuel, plus 600. Arkansas, plus 1,200. Mississippi State, plus 1,500. Texas, plus 1,600. Those are four of your six favorites nationally. You can get those at FanDuel right now. Graham Doty, welcome to the show. Busy week of college baseball, 48 games. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm making it. Busy weekend. I was pinballing all over the place. Finally back home, ready to talk some college baseball. Where else would you want to be?
No, nowhere else. I'm getting a little concerned. They're like, we've done this cold weather to warm weather, now back to cold weather, and I'm feeling my voice slowly starting to go. So I'm hoping to God that is not the case. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
That's why we are downing water here. But anyway, we'll make the best of it. First of all, let's start the show. Our friends at Home Field Apparel are the title sponsor of baseball season. They've got fantastic stuff. Tell the folks a little bit more about those guys.
Yes, they do. They are based out of wonderful Indianapolis, Indiana, and they have over 150 colleges to choose from. So whatever your favorite team is, more than likely they got you covered. And they got awesome vintage stuff, t-shirts, hats, jackets. I mean, you name it, they got you covered. I've been a fan of theirs for a while. I got random college teams I never dreamed I would imagine having, and I do because their products and their shirts are just that good. And then I got Ole Miss stuff that they make as well. So they got you covered. They're SEC baseball fans, SEC fans in general. Home Field Apparel. If you are in the market for some new swag for whatever your favorite team is, look them up, homefieldapparel.com. They got a wide variety of things to choose from.
All right, lots of things to choose from off the top. We'll get those in just a second. But first of all, reminder, help out our channel here. You can do that for free by leaving us a rating where you get your podcasts. You can on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe buttons. That costs you nothing. If you'd like to support us financially, supporter tier, $3.99 a month. MVP tier, $5.99 a month. Legends tier, $19.99 a month. A supporter gets you a custom badge. MVP gets you all that, plus some members-only live videos, which we'll be doing here in the coming weeks. And a vote in the power rankings. We'll be adding that soon. And then the Legends tier gets you all those perks, plus being part of your own live show. All right, Graham. When 15 of the 16 teams win more than they lose over the weekend, everybody's going to want their glory. They're going to get it. And everybody's going to want to talk about the one that did not do that, other than that team's fan base, probably. We'll get to them a little later.
I was curious how you were going to start it.
Yeah, we're not going to pick on those guys. Hey, look, let's just come out with Tennessee. Look, this is how the rest of the world has lived the last few years. Welcome to the club. You lose some that you're not supposed to every now and then. I don't think you have a bad team. We'll get to you guys in a minute, but I think first of all, the headliner to me. Let's be honest, okay? Most of your teams this weekend, about half of them beat up on helpless opponents. About a half dozen beat up on some pretty decent mid-major type teams. And then you have LSU and Auburn, which beat some real Power 4 teams this weekend. Auburn took all 3 games in its weekend classic and beat 2 ranked teams. And LSU did some work against some good teams too. I think we start there with those two.
Yes. To me, LSU, like none of that was a surprise, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody's high on LSU, so they just kind of did what we anticipated them to do. Now, to me, Auburn is the main takeaway of the weekend. Out of everything, good things, bad things, medium things, however you want to dial it up. To me, Auburn is the main takeaway because remember, you talked to Butch last week, and let's just say he was frustrated with the offense. I know the midweek against a good Cincinnati team didn't go their way. Remember, Cincinnati made the tournament last year. So he wanted to see offense, right? And boy, did he get it this weekend, Chris. And I thought they looked really, really good. It was their first time to leave Auburn and leave the state of Alabama. And I just thought they looked remarkable, really, in all aspects.
Yeah, I think the takeaways, the pitching for Auburn continued to be good. By the way, the finals for Auburn beat Kansas State 5-1, Florida State 8-5, and I think Auburn spotted FSU 4 runs in the first inning, and then beat Louisville 10-6. Jake Marciano was great again. The bullpen was good. Chase Fralick caught some. I want to say he played first or DH'd a little bit too. And Ethan Bingaman are guys that are really both starting to hit for them. Look, we knew that Auburn was going to hit at some point. Auburn still doesn't have Chris Rembert, probably its best player, healthy and going yet. So let's not forget that. But I think Auburn, we knew the rest of the lineup could hit better. Bub Terrell has kind of had an underrated good year so far. Again, lost in the other headlines at Auburn. But I think you started to see a lot more out of that offense, a lot more of what you expected coming into the year.
No doubt. And by the way, your point on Fralick, he played first today.
Okay.
So let's touch offense. So Kansas State, 11 hits. You played 5 runs, really kind of scatter them all over, 3 runs late. Florida State, guess what? Double-digit hits again, 11 hits. You bring in 8. As you said, they gave Florida State 4 in the first, and then Auburn just kind of chipped away, 3 runs in the 5th of that one. And then today really just kind of handled Louisville. By the way, Louisville, slow start to the season for them.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
But to me, like, we were wondering what they would look like with no Rembert, really adjusting to life without him out there for the first time, really since he's been at Auburn, and it didn't seem to phase them at all. And I think it speaks to the depth that Auburn has been able to build really the last couple of years under Butch there. So to me, just so many bright spots. But to me, everybody was wondering the offense. Where's the offense? Where's the offense? When you get 11 hits in 2 out of your 3 games, like, you will take that all day, every day, especially when you go on the road.
Yeah, I think I mentioned Ethan Bingaman earlier. He was I think like a top 50 recruit by some. He was not a guy we spent, I don't think, any time on preseason, just because I looked at their lineup and said, hey, look, they've got a lot of upperclassmen coming back, probably more than they've got room for. But he was really good this weekend. He had a couple of good games. I want to look something up because I just noticed something that hadn't occurred to me. But I want to see if Eddie Madrigal played this weekend, because I don't think he did, that I caught it. But I'm gonna make sure that I'm right on that. He was a transfer from St. Mary's who had, I think, 21 bombs last year. And that's another piece of their lineup that they've been without too. I'm not, in fact, I'm doing a Google News search. Yeah, I'm doing a Google News search. I don't see anything about injuries to him. So that's weird. I'm presuming there's something there, but just nothing reported anywhere. So Auburn fans, give us an update on him. I've not heard that mentioned anywhere, but he was a guy that I thought would be a dude for them and still can be, but I don't know what the deal is this weekend with him or the first 2 weekends.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you're an Auburn fan, yeah, they're saying he's hurt. He'll be back later in the season. So there you go. That makes sense. I mean, you figured something was up, right?
Yeah.
It was like he's too good not to play, especially when you got an opportunity with Rembert being down. Like, you would think that he would be a DH, but he's hurt. So there we go. There we have our answer. One thing I wish for Auburn, like, that team is too good. They've been too consistent under Butch. They just need more media coverage, man. Like,
yeah.
like Bama, I give Bama props. Like Bama media is on the baseball team. I've seen way more Bama baseball media coverage this year than I have maybe ever.
Yeah.
And that's good for the state of Alabama because you got two great stadiums, two good teams. You should have fans that care about college baseball.
Yeah, the fans are definitely showing up in Auburn for sure. So, I mean, and two great coaches, too, for both of them. Quinn, thank you for the super chats. Quinn says, play like we did this weekend. We'll be the best team in the SEC. Hey, that's on the table. You know, Christian Chatterton threw a little bit better this weekend. He's a guy that I've loved. We've talked about him a lot. Your starters have been great. Your hitting is going to come around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you're going to get Rembert back at some point. So,
yeah,
I'm still. I was very bullish on Auburn before the season, and still am. So, speaking of teams that beat teams this weekend, LSU went and swept in the what was it, the Jacksonville Classic? I think it was.
Correct.
Pretty good weekend for LSU. The hitters continue to hit. William Schmidt may be the story of the weekend for LSU. He goes 5 scoreless, strikes out 7, only gave up 1 free pass, which is a welcome sign after last weekend where he struggled to locate. Casey Evans was fine, not great. Cooper Moore was good, not great. Their bullpen was pretty good. They got an inning and 2/3 scoreless out of Devin Sheeran in the win over Notre Dame. By the way, the scores of LSU games, 14-7 over Indiana, 9-4 over Notre Dame, and 11-0 over a UCF team that had been pretty good coming into the weekend. But I think, to me, one of the stories for LSU, that the hitting, it just keeps on coming. They get, 34 runs this weekend. Jake Brown continues his hot streak. Kade Arambide, their catcher, was maybe their best hitter over the weekend. He reached base 6 times Friday. He had a home run on Saturday and a home run today, Sunday. Zach York continues to rake. He had a home run Friday. 18 hits, 14 walks, 1 hit batsman in the win over Indiana.
Yeah, to me, the tournament, you know, same typical social media stuff, like LSU's not winning by a million and everybody freaks out. Indiana looked like they were in control for most of that game. Like they had the lead. And then the next thing you know, LSU puts up a 9 spot in the 8th inning. They score another one in the 9th. So they scored 10 runs the last 2 innings, 14 runs on 18 hits to kick off the tournament. Just your usual names kind of stood out for LSU. To me, like, I don't know, the Evans thing, I think he'll come around, but, you know, you just want to see him start to settle in and, you know, man, just go out there, pitch, have fun, just not put so much pressure on yourself. It just seems like he knows that, like, he's got a lot of expectations with him being the number 1 ace for LSU this year. He definitely has the potential, and I think he's going to get there, but he just hasn't pitched to his ability so far this season for LSU. But I mean, offensively, like if LSU is not top 5 in the SEC by the season's end, like something drastically happened just because they got dudes after dudes in that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, they're scoring. Gosh, for every 27 outs. Like, here's one thing that people aren't maybe thinking about a lot. You're losing a lot of offensive innings this year to run rules. Mm-hmm. LSU was putting up about 14.5 a game if you gave them 9 innings coming into today, which is incredible. They are going to hit. Like, they got guys behind guys who can hit, like Braden Simpson and dudes like that. So I'm not really that worried about LSU hitting. And by the way, that midweek win over Kent State looks a little better too.
It does.
Which they got.
It's the second time you've teased Tennessee.
Yeah, well, that was not meant as a shot at Tennessee. Just, you know, LSU had a really good week, man. And remains. How many unbeatens we got? We don't have that many left. They're one of them.
Let's Google it. Ole Miss is unbeaten. Mississippi State's unbeaten. Arkansas is too, right?
No, Arkansas lost 1 in Arlington.
I'm Googling it right now. But to prove your point, it's not many.
Yeah.
LSU, Ole Miss, State, Oklahoma, Texas, A&M. That's it. That's the list.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I thought those were the top two teams of the weekend. Any other takeaways on LSU and Auburn?
I mean, mainly for Auburn, just again, the noise was way too loud for a midweek loss against a Power Four team that made the tournament, and then just that they were able to respond the way that they did, and then LSU. Like, to me, what makes Jay Johnson and LSU so good, Chris, like, they're so consistent. They don't really ride the roller coaster, like they don't really have like two awful weekends in a row. They're just so consistent and nothing ever really seems to rattle them. And it helps when you got a guy like Jake Brown. So Jake Brown started the tournament 0 for 5, and then he just bounces back and just has a monster weekend. Like, he had 4 hits the next day against Notre Dame, and had 2 more hits today to wrap up against UCF. So like, there, as long as Jay Johnson is there and just his philosophy, like, we've had him on several times. Like, I'm blown away every time that we have him and just pick his brain on baseball. Like, him and his staff and just the talent they bring in, again, they are going to be an extremely tough out all season long.
Yeah, the weird thing is their offense feels like it's a little bit slow starting sometimes, but you get to the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th innings, and they just overwhelm bullpens so far.
Right.
So, yeah, and the bullpen, as we've said many times, is deep. I don't know if Gavin Guidry threw much this weekend or not. Didn't catch that he did, but like, he's been great for them. So again, tons of pieces there for LSU. Okay,
big one before we go. Like, you touched on William Smith. If he can do what he did today, like struck out 7, only walked 1, 3 hits, like, that's kind of the guy that everybody was like banking on seeing. So if he turns the corner and lives up to his potential, just look out.
Yeah, he is maybe the most talented arm on that staff.
Guidry did pitch. He picked up the win against Indiana.
Okay, good.
Only 1 inning though.
Yeah, he's been lights out too. Like, he's been as good a bullpen arm as there's been in the league so far.
He has, and again, like, you just don't see people with his injury. Anytime you hear the words back surgery, it kind of raises eyebrows, and that's what he did. But so far, so good for him. Like, he looks healthy, and he's picked up right where he left off when he was back last on the mound for the Tigers.
All right, you pick a topic. Where would you like to go next, or maybe what team?
Let's just cannonball in the deep end, everybody.
Okay,
Tennessee time.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the thing that catches most people's attention out of the weekend. Look, I don't think it's time for panic in Knoxville, to be honest with you. The starting pitching was really good. Tegan Coons gave them 5 1/3, gave up 1 on Friday night. They win that one on a Tyler Meade home run. Landon Mack was outstanding on Saturday, and Brandon Arvinson behind him was pretty good too. They struck out 16 between the two of them. Tennessee had 5 hits, though. Stone Lawless had 2 of those, and that's why they lose 2-1 to Kent State. Today, it was just kind of an all-around pitching implosion. Evan Blanco wasn't great off the jump, wasn't awful, but, gave up 2 earned runs, 3 runs. The defense let him down a bit. Ethan Baiato, I guess is how you pronounce it, freshman arm, one of their better freshman arms coming in, didn't get an out, gave up 3 runs. Only one of those was earned. And then Brady Frederick, who's had a little bit of a rough start out of the pen, he gave up a couple. Kent State had 7 hits, 7 walks, 4 hit batsmen, and Tennessee had 4 errors to give Kent State 2 unearned runs. You had a grill catching on fire in the outfield. It just was all going wrong for Tennessee. But I think the biggest thing to me, and again, I think their top-end pitching is going to be very good. The depth is where I have a little bit of a question for them. And Reese Chapman has been pretty good for them. But 9 runs against Kent State was not something I saw coming.
Right. Before I say anything about Tennessee, I missed Friday night. I was going to say this then, but just want to give thoughts and prayers. To Wes and his family. Just heartbreaking, and he's not that much older than me, and just can't imagine that. So definitely wanted to get that out there. I didn't know him at all. I know, Chris, you knew him a little bit better than me, but obviously I followed his work for a long time, and He loved his Vols and did a great job covering Tennessee. So definitely wanted to put that out there. And I kind of thought that it was fitting that Tennessee, the one game that they didn't win, it was that Friday night game in walk-off fashion, so I thought that was fitting. Big picture takeaway for Tennessee. So Kent State is a solid team, preseason second in the MAC, just slightly behind Miami of Ohio. I know you were kind of talking about this in the week, this isn't your average like MAC team. Like this is a pretty good Kent State team. So and they showed it this weekend. They handled the environment. It didn't really phase or rattle them in a negative way. And to me, last year, kind of the Achilles heel for Tennessee defense. They had 5 errors this weekend, and it felt like all 5 were just backbreakers. They got to clean that aspect of it up. I'm totally with you. I'm not hitting the panic button, not freaking out or anything. I think the offense will come around, but right now it does seem that their pitching, especially starting pitcher, is way ahead of everything else.
Yeah, we did a preview on Thursday, and we're going to do this every week. And I went through every team on the schedule. I just said, hey, look, this feels like it's going to be a runaway weekend for the SEC. But we named, I don't know, a half dozen mid-majors we said could give trouble for whatever reason. Missouri State, Michigan State, not a mid-major, but a lower tier Power 4 team. Kennesaw State was one we circled. And frankly, Kent State, probably of all the teams, had the best run-up coming in. It was 3-1. It beat a pretty respectable Southeastern Louisiana team last weekend, swept them. Combined 32-9. Again, went to LSU, got beat 10-7 in Baton Rouge. No shame in that. So now look, I didn't think it was going to end the way it ended for Tennessee. And it looked like, I don't know if it was like cold and damp there today, which, sometimes that's a difficult spot to play baseball in. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, no reason to hit the panic button on them. I think they got plenty of talent.
Yeah, without a doubt. Just a tough weekend all the way around. Did you see the video of the guy grilling out in the outfield, and even that went wrong?
Yeah. Gas grill. I've had that happen before. I'll tell you exactly what happened. He was grilling some burgers or something, and he got a bunch of grease down in that thing. And man, when that stuff lights up, it goes wrong quickly. So
charcoal, baby. Charcoal's the way to go.
Well, I'm a wood pellet grill guy, so
okay.
I've gone that way. But hey, you mentioned Wes Rucker. I'm glad you said that. I meant to mention that on Friday. I did not know Wes well, but he's a guy that I probably knew for a dozen years, and I would see him a couple times a year. Usually I would see him at the SEC tournament. I remember sitting and talking to him at length in Nashville for the basketball tournament. Just a very thoughtful, bright, very nice guy. Wes was just unfailingly nice and polite to people, treated people well, had opinions. Sometimes people didn't like him, but he was very, very smart guy. And had been through some stuff, had a stroke a few years ago, taught himself to walk again. He and his wife had a 4-year-old that he just adored, one more on the way. I mean, that really, to be honest, just put a little bit of a damper on my week. I mean, again, not a guy that I was close to or knew well, but a guy if you went to a Tennessee game, you'd see Wes Rucker in the press box, and he'd always say hello, and he'd always make small talk a little bit, and just loved by a lot of people up there. So, please, and I was at Vanderbilt, Tennessee yesterday, and at a press conference for that one for basketball, and Rick Barnes entered his press conference by just saying, hey, please keep him in your family, contribute to that GoFundMe. Wes didn't have life insurance, which was not because he was negligent. He had, because of his health condition, couldn't get it. So I hope people will go. You can find that GoFundMe, I think, with a pretty easy Google search. But just prayers for Wes Rucker's family. Just that's an awful thing to lose your husband. But when you got, a young kid and one on the way, and the kids, my goodness, I mean, growing up without a dad, and in one case, not even knowing what to think of that. So, please, everybody, say a prayer for the Rucker family. Just an awful thing. He passed away in a car accident on Thursday.
Gone way too soon.
Yeah, 43 years old. Next, where would you like to go?
Man, no, there's no smooth segue.
I'll tell you what. I'll call an audible here. Our man David Keith Williams is in the chat. He's asking us some stuff about Texas. So let's go there. I would say for Texas, it was the usual what you expect from Texas. That the pitching was lights out again. Volantis was outstanding in another start. Ruger Riojas was much better this time around. 6 innings, a run, 10 strikeouts. Luke Harrison and Max Scrubs were pretty good in the 3-1 win on Saturday. So Texas gives up 2 runs all weekend. Only scored 15, but you don't really need that much. They got some good offensive performances. Got home runs this weekend from Borba, Mendoza, Anthony Pack Jr., the freshman who continues to kind of put himself at the forefront maybe of the freshman of the year conversation. And Aiden Robbins Saturday, 4 for 4 with a home run. The bullpen's been good. They finally got Cade Crossland out there. I think he threw a couple of scoreless innings this weekend. Texas just keeps on doing what I figured Texas would do before the season started, which was pitch like crazy and get offensive contributions from pretty much everywhere.
My 2 takeaways for Texas. Number 1, Volantis on a Sunday is like a cheat code, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
You just don't see a lot of Sunday arms like him. Today, the 9 Ks and 7 innings, just efficient. 91 pitches, 63 were strikes. That's one of my takeaways. And then the other one, you were high on it big time, and it's right here. What David Keith is on top of it. Aiden Robbins, man, that guy can flat out hit, Chris.
Yep.
You were big on him before the season even started. So obviously his game is translating up to this point, coming over from Seton Hall to Texas. Again, Texas, they didn't pick up a lot of guys from the portal, like less than 10, but the ones that they brought in are big time, and they're all making contributions already. Tenney, looking at his line, the catcher that they brought in, just a hit every weekend. I think his bat will come around. But to me, like, this is a sneaky good Michigan State team. They got a couple of ranked wins on their resume already, and Texas was just able to really smother them at home this weekend.
Yeah. Someone in the chat says, who else gave up 2 runs all weekend? The other SEC team in the state of Texas. Hey, we said, hey, I want to see more out of A&M's pitching this weekend. And boy, did we. They got 2 runs to Penn, including an 11-inning game. Let me pull up my notes here so I don't miss anything on that one. We're
getting a lot of chatter about their offense.
Yeah, well, I got some thoughts on that in just a minute because that's a little bit of a different. There's some nuance to that one, but let's go to Friday. I think I was as interested to see Shane Zadeo's start is just about anything all weekend. Texas A&M wins that one 1-0 when Penn center fielder misplayed a fly ball to score the winning run. Boston Kellner hit that one. Zadeo goes 7 innings, no runs, 7 strikeout, just 1 free pass and 3 hits. Weston Moss was very good on Saturday. He goes 6, no runs, 8 strikeouts, no free passes. The bullpen of Vargas and Freshcorn gave them 5 scoreless combined. And then Aiden Sims was really good today in the 7-1 win over Penn. He goes 7, gives up an earned run, strikes out 10, and Josh Stewart gave them 2 scoreless out of the pen. I don't know how good Penn's going to be. It's typically a pretty good Ivy League team. It has not played baseball at all until this weekend, so I don't know what to take away in terms of how impressive that was. But I think you hold anybody to 2 runs on the weekend. That's hard to do in this era of college baseball. And I think, to me, we'll get to the offense in a minute. We saw a good offensive performance last weekend out of A&M, and this, the pitching was just kind of, you would have wanted for more. This weekend it was the opposite, but that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see their top 2 off the top really shove. Not only did they do that, but Aiden Sims comes in Sunday and throws even better maybe than those other 2 did.
I just think if you're Texas A&M, if you can if you can just stack up the wins early, it just feel like That threw me
Sorry.
off. Who said that? Somebody said that. Well, I appreciate
How
it.
you doing?
Even if you didn't listen to me, I appreciate you. So it just seems like for the Aggies, anytime they can build confidence and momentum, like they win the series, it doesn't all look pretty, and they find a way to win, right? Like that was what kind of bit them last year. It was like anything could go wrong, went wrong. This year, at least up to this point, they face adversity and they're able to handle it. I know all of their games have been at home, but you got to start somewhere, and this is a good start for Early and his company in year two. Pitching was outstanding, like really obviously carried the load for them this weekend. And as we get ready to dive into the offense, to me, Chris, just like the story, it's just missed opportunities. Like when you look at runners in scoring position, 5 hits, they scored 2 runs on 9 hits. Like that's kind of hard to do. They went 1 for 9 in scoring position in the 1-0 game, and then they had 3 hits with runners in scoring position today. It's just they just didn't cash in on their opportunities, and that just comes with the territory in baseball. So I think they'll be fine. Like they had 9 hits in 2 out of the 3 games, and the one game they didn't, they had 7. So that's plenty of hits enough to be fine for the Aggies. So I think they'll be in good shape.
Yeah, and look, that's one of those. A couple breaks go against you, all of a sudden you're looking up, you're losing the series. That they get a misplayed fly ball. They get a walk-off walk from Sawyer Farr on Saturday, but it's not act like the Aggies caught a lot of breaks this weekend, because Bo brings up what I was going to bring up when I said it's a little bit nuanced on their offense. Chris Coppin, who was, in my mind, maybe the best transfer to the SEC this year. Their starting shortstop didn't play all weekend. I believe Texags reported that was illness. And Caden Sorrell, let's not do this again, Texas A&M. Let's not start losing all your players. Man, we're 2 weeks in. I'd like to see what you guys can do with the full deck. I don't like the way it went this weekend for you, but I don't think, all kidding aside, I don't know this is going to be that serious. I would think flu's been going around like crazy in the Southeast.
That's what I was about to say. Like the game I did today, like 3 people had the flu, and it's just like, if it's just that time of year, especially when one week it's in the 30s and 40s, and then the next one it's in the 70s and the 80s. Like it's just going to happen.
Well, and this version seems to kind of hang around a little bit, and can kind of come back if you're not careful. But I don't think that, unless there's something else going on with Chris Coppin, which I have not heard that there is, he'll be fine. He'll be back. I think Caden Sorrell, he cut his hand. I think he got spiked or something. And so he didn't play. They said it was bleeding very badly. He didn't play today or yesterday. You wouldn't think a cut hand would keep you out that long. I hope it doesn't. But, yeah, I mean, you start the weekend off with, I think, your best 2 offensive players on the shelf. You did have Caden Sorrell for a game, so there was that, or at least part of one. But, those are 2. Like, that's about as good a 1-2 punch as anybody in the league has. So,
yeah, it's by the way, Stat Broadcast is saying that Sorrell came in late defensively. So I don't know.
Oh, well, that's good.
I don't know if that's accurate or not, but for Maryland transfer Hakopian, like, in my opinion, if that is something super serious, Texags is going to be all over that. Like they would report that, or even Kendall. Kendall is a big time A&M guy. He knows that program like the back of his hand. So I kind of think if that was super serious, that would get out relatively quickly. But the Sorrell thing is interesting because those things are no joke, especially if you mess up your hand, especially offensively. So that, to me, that one is one to watch more so than Hakopian.
Yeah, I think if there's a coach in the league who's going to be cautious with offensive players getting hurt, it's probably Michael Early, because that just wrecked them a year ago. And like he told us preseason, you guys, your regulars have heard this. He said, hey, The shoulder injury for Gavin Grohovac went back to early freshman year.
Right.
Played through it, never got better. So, although it didn't seem to hurt his power his freshman year, my goodness. But point being, like, they've got a really good lineup. Really, really good lineup, in my opinion.
Bo's saying he's saying it's nothing broken, flesh wound, but spike through the skin between the thumb and the index finger on his right hand.
Through the skin.
That's what Bo said.
That's not a lot of fun. Well, anyway, I'm glad he's well. I think he's maybe a top 10 player in the league, but maybe a top 10 guy in the draft this summer, to be honest, the way he started.
Yeah. But the positive news, like, he was able to come back in defensively. Like, he didn't get an AB, but he did play in the field.
Yeah. I mean, I think to me more there to like than to not like, because again, what I wanted to see was their pitching answer the bell, and it did. So, all right, I'm gonna take this one. Speaking of pitching, maybe the best performance over the weekend came today from Colin Fisher, who retired the last 20 hitters he faced. Arkansas run-ruled Xavier 11-0. Colin Fisher started, pitched 8, struck out 11, just gave up 1 base runner the entire game. Ryder Helfrich had home runs today and yesterday. He's been red hot to start. Another big storyline, Cam Kozel continues to hit. But I think the biggest thing was when Kuhio Aloy went out last weekend, Graham, I was concerned because I think they said it was a shoulder. I'm like, man, that is not what you want to hear. He came back. He had a home run Saturday and one Sunday. The rest of the pitching, other than Hunter Dietz, was pretty good. Dietz, I just think, is going to struggle with command and stuff. That's usually what happens a lot of times after an injury. But, I mean, he's still that electric dimension to him. He strikes out 9 in 4 innings. Arkansas sweeps Xavier. And I think, to me, a lot to feel good about for Arkansas, especially with the way Fisher, who's their third starter, pitched, and getting Aloy back. Because, again, I was very concerned about that a weekend ago.
So my question is Cam going to pick up an armadillo every weekend?
If you listen to Dave Van Horn, if he listened to Dave Van Horn, I'm pretty sure that is not going to happen again.
Yeah. I was talking to my wife about this, and I said, "Did you know armadillos had leprosy?" She didn't know that either.
I didn't either.
Not that we're around armadillos a lot, and like
not that we're around leprosy a lot, but
yeah. And I'm definitely not going to pick an armadillo up. But when I saw that video, it's like, man, that seems pretty risky. And I'm sure when Dave Van Horn was watching it, he couldn't be pleased. But that video was classic when he said he talked to him and was like, leprosy, like in the Bible? And Van Horn said, yes, like in the Bible.
Andrew Hutchinson, friend of the show, told me that, like, he goes and there's like a pond behind the stadium there that he fishes in all the time.
Oh, really?
Okay. Like every day. So
Yeah.
he's a hunter fisher. He's from I think he's from Omaha, somewhere in Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
well, to me, I think the FanDuel odds of like the unofficial mascot of Arkansas this year being an armadillo, like, got to be pretty good odds, right?
Yeah, right.
But to me, like, I mean, Arkansas, like, Xavier is a very, very solid mid-major program, and Arkansas just consistency. Every time I think about the Hogs, like, that's just what I think about. They were good. Really in all phases. Defense for their standards got to be cleaned up a little bit. Like, they had 3 errors this weekend. That's just a little more than what a Dave Van Horn team is accustomed to. But offensively, like, for the most part, I thought that they did look good. 13 hits, scoring 7 runs in one game, and then just absolutely crushed Xavier today. 14 hits, 11 runs. Really the only exception was the game one with Gackle wasn't his best, but good enough to win. Xavier actually got more hits than Arkansas in game one, but that's just what good teams do. Like, you find a way to win when you're not playing your best. So Arkansas, especially at home, it's a tough out.
All right, I think we've hit 6 of the 16 teams. We're going to hit them all before the show is out. Let's what do you say we hit the Mississippis? Let's start with Ole Miss first. They had one of the series we circled and said, hey, Missouri State has had some talent before. They have a potential first rounder this year, an outfielder, Caden Bogenpole. But Ole Miss handled business this weekend. Looked like the bullpen was pretty good.
Yeah.
Judd Utermark hit a couple home runs on Friday, hit one more today. What did you make of Ole Miss this weekend?
Well, you touch on Judd Utermark. I didn't want to ask you, like, to me, Chris, like he's getting to the point where like he's one of the best power hitters that this conference has ever had. Like he's probably health willing gonna set the program record. Like he needs like 14. So that's definitely within striking distance. But to me, like it's at the point now when he's at the plate, if he doesn't hit one in a game, like everybody's blown away. Like that's just kind of where he is right now. And like it was really, really, really windy today. And like he hit one like cutting through the wind. And I think anybody else that would have stayed in the ballpark, but since it was him, like it was able to carry enough and he cleared the wall. But I wanted to get your thoughts because like, I see him play a lot, like in person and everything. And, you definitely don't want to take him for granted, but how you view like some of the best power hitters in this conference, over the decades. To me, like at the end of the season, he could be up there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's on a long list of guys that have been hitting for serious power this year. By the way, who's the career home run leader at Ole Miss? Is it Tim Elko?
I think he's 2. I would have to look. It's somebody from the 90s, I think.
Okay, that was before my time, but
yeah, Elko's 2, but remember he was at Ole Miss forever. And then,
right.
And then Matt Smith is top 5, and one of the Snyder twins, like if you remember them, and Utermark. So like that's kind of the collection. And to me, like Judd is a really, really, really good college baseball player. Still has a lot of swing and miss. I have no idea how his game is going to translate to the next level, but he is
or where he plays.
Yeah, or where he plays, but he is fun to watch in college baseball.
Like if you did most likely to lead the league in home runs just by looking at like shots from the waist up, I think the competition is him and Braden Holcomb at Vandy, maybe.
Yeah, like you want those guys to get off the bus first.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But first team, like, all right, that guy gets off the bus whenever we get to the stadium.
Yeah, no, I hadn't given what you said. I hadn't honestly given it much thought. Like it has been just this decade alone for power hitters. You've had Christian Moore, you've had Charlie Condon, you've had Wyatt Langford. You just had them all over the place. So he kind of gets lost. A little bit. Yeah. And before that, like, last decade stuff wasn't flying out of the park like it is now, except for maybe the first, 10 and 11 when it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I hadn't really given it much thought, but if he continues to hit the way he is this year, he's going to be on a lot of those leaderboards and is going to be worthy of it. Cause like you said, he's been very, very consistent.
Yeah, he has. Other takeaways like Friday nights, Hunter Elliott, like the game plan pitch count, like 85 to 90. So he surpasses that. Hunter Elliott wasn't sharp at all, but he just kind of does what an ace does. He just figures out a way to win when your stuff isn't the best. Hunter ended up, I think he walked 6 or 7 Friday nights, still was able to be good enough. And then Cade Townsend, we touched on him before the season started. Expectations were high just because there was a lot of confidence that he was going to make the jump from year 1 to year 2. And so far, he's been able to do that. So in Townsend's outing, 4 innings, 8 strikeouts, he walked 1. He threw 63 pitches and 43 were strikes. So he was in control, really from the get-go. And then, just other guys getting action as well, like Landon Koenig picked up his first save. My guy that came over to our house and picked up our furniture from Facebook Marketplace. Shout out to Landon with his first save as an Ole Miss Rebel. But really, really good performance all the way around for Ole Miss. To me, like defense is still like a question mark moving forward for the Rebels. But, just watching them these first handful of games, like their ceiling might be a little bit higher than what I was anticipating, just because they've been able to be more consistent 1 through 9. as
Well,
opposed to just bashing a bunch of home runs. And they're going to hit a bunch of home runs, but you just see them get consistently on base way more.
my reason is opposite of yours, and then you said it. I just needed to see it. It's the rest of the pitching staff has been good. I mean, Hunter Elliott this weekend was the only guy that just didn't pitch well, and the bullpen picked him up. Hudson Calhoun was really good in relief on Friday. You mentioned Koenig today. Will Libbert gave him another quality start. The Missouri transfer, 5 innings, 2 earned, and then Walker Hooks and J.P. Robertson came in and gave him 2 scoreless each. So I think, to me, that's what's standing out to me. And then I got a question for you. You said the wind's blowing in. Dom Decker did not homer all year at Murray State. How did he get one out in the wind today?
Because he hit it with the wind.
Oh, okay. The wind shifted.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I didn't realize that was his first career home run until he did it today. First inning too. So it was like Missouri State scored first on the top of the first, and then Decker immediately tied it. So that was big for him.
All right, let's stay in the state of Mississippi. Let's hit Mississippi State. Just another solid weekend. What stood out to me, Ryan McPherson, again, good in his start, 6 innings, 11 strikeouts. Thomas Valencius, 6 shutouts on Saturday. And then Duke Stone, good out of the pen today, 4 scoreless, struck out 6. It wasn't their best hitting weekend. Delaware helped them out a little bit with some unearned runs, at least today. I say not their best hitting weekend. Nothing like popped off the box score. I guess the biggest thing was that 4 home runs yesterday. Noah Sullivan, Reed Stallman, Blake Bevis, and Jacob Parker, the freshman, went 2 for 4 and got a bomb. So, yeah, you give up, 5 runs to Delaware in the weekend. You're pretty happy with that.
Yeah. 2 main takeaways for me. Like, these 2 teams could have played each other 100 times, and State was going to win 98 of them. They were just clearly the better team than Delaware this weekend. Then the other thing, every time I watch Brian O'Connor, post-game press conferences and just press conferences throughout the week, I'm more and more impressed by him. I'm happy that we get to cover him on a consistent basis since he's interleague now. Did you see his comments just talking about how the style and just the way that Mississippi State is going to play under him, and he's not about showboating and everything?
Yeah.
And, you just got to get out of the box, hustle. You got to respect the game. I love stuff like that. And I just think in that culture, in that fan base, man, that's going to be a good fit with O'Connor and Mississippi State. But to me, they looked really, really good, which I anticipated them to do this weekend. My pitching wise, McPherson.
Yeah.
That guy may be the best start of anybody in the SEC pitching wise. 11 Ks, 92 pitches, 62 strikes, only 1 run. That guy has been unhittable so far up to this point for State.
Yeah. Somebody put in the chat, Hunter said he wouldn't be surprised if Duke Stone replaces Charlie Foster. Yeah, Foster's had 2 bad starts in a row. They're going to have options. They've got a lot of dudes. And I thought that Stone would probably make the rotation to begin with. Sometimes coaches like to give a guy a shot in a role to see if he can handle it. Maybe that's what's going on there. Wes is asking what happened to Drew Wires. Did we miss something on that?
Let's Google it, shall we?
I Googled it. I'm not finding anything that turns up as an injury or something like that. So I think he's their leadoff guy, isn't he?
Hold on. I'm searching the old Twitter. Remember, I have been all over the place today.
Well, while you're doing that, you asked me about Brian O'Connor. Not only did I see that, I retweeted it and I said, hey, look, we could use more of that. That's just not my thing. I mean, when you hit a home run, act like you've been there before. I'm just not a big fan of all the, have some fun, have a celebration. But I just feel like, and I think what he was getting on his guys for, he had 2 guys starting to profile it like they'd hit one and the ball stayed in the yard, which is especially terrible.
Yeah, and that would drive me crazy too, right? Like we're all Braves fans, right? Or me and you are. Acuna did it today, man. He ended up with a single. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, he thought he crushed it, and he's showboating one hops the wall and he's held to a single.
Oh, man. I thought he was over that.
Definitely not. Also, the chat is saying that Wires played today, so nothing wrong. Yeah, he started in the leadoff spot at second base, 1 for 3.
Yeah, I was going to say if that happened, I'd miss something. Hey, look at this. Aggie Patriots. The Aggies have not walked a batter in 44 innings. That's crazy.
Until now, you just jinxed them. Congratulations.
Right. That's how it goes around here.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, we're wishing them some health. We talked about the Aggies a little bit earlier. We are halfway through. We've hit 8 of the 16 teams.
Hold on, real quick before we do that. Like the thing with Wires and State, like this team is loaded. So
yes,
they're just going to be weekends where some guys play, some guys don't, and then I think it's really going to take them until SEC play to figure out who we trust the most.
Yeah, I mean they've got. I'm going to pull up my notes from preseason just to get this right. I think someone said they've got like 16 guys that could play just about every day.
Which is
I don't know. I don't know if it's that many, but I will find it. You had last year. Let's see, 1, 2, 3.
Well, they returned their top 5 hitters from last year.
You had 13 guys a year ago that had 140 plate appearances or more. And like that's not including Jacob Parker, who came as a freshman either, or Ryder Woodson, who was kind of a bit player at the end of the year for NC State, but was in that shortstop mix, or doesn't include Sean James, who caught for them today, went 2 for 4. And like, so that, I guess that's where you get your 16.
Yeah. Also, Aggie Patriots saying for Hakopian it's a lower back issue. Uh-oh.
Oh, that's not what I want to hear.
No, nobody wants to hear that.
Well, we've had lower body and now we've had lower back. And then the Jordan kid, the transfer from Baylor, who's been maybe their best hitter. That's right. He's groin injury. I mean, that's not what you want. Those can take forever.
Yeah, here's what I can promise you. Michael Early told us that he visits with Tex Ags 2 times a week, so we will get an update on that. You better believe it.
Yeah. 9-time champion. I did see Lance Cormier. I think he threw an inning and 2/3 scoreless this weekend. His dad, of course, or Lance Cormier is his dad. Excuse me. But it's LJ, I think, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So, Bo says it's lower back. It's supposed to need minor what?
Injury.
I hope the word is not surgery.
Yeah, nobody wants that, especially for him since he's a projected first-round pick.
Yeah. All right, let's get to helping out our partners here for just a minute. And we've got several of them. Let's start with ROKFORM. You turn me on to them. I've got their magnetic phone case. It is amazing. I've dropped my phone I don't know how many times. It's like nothing happened. I've got the vent clip for my car. So I've got a great phone setup to keep my phone in front of me if I need to look at a map or whatever. It's not going to move around. I know we love our ROKFORM stuff.
Strong, durable. They got different colors, different styles, but this is the money maker right here. What they're known for, that magnet, super strong. Will stick to your fridge, whatever the case. I got the mount in my car as well. Absolutely love it. This month, the new Samsung Galaxy comes out. So if you're a green bubble person, they already got the new cases for the Samsung, and then if you're an Apple person like Chris and I are. They got all the Apple stuff as well. So ROKFORM, promo code, SEC 25, 25% off.
And it's ROKFORM.com for you out there listening and not seeing the graphic on the scene. Speaking of companies I love, these next two are right there too. You introduced me to Ann Collar. It is my new favorite clothes. It'll be yours too. We both just can't say enough good things about Ann Collar clothes.
Yeah, love them. Everyday clothes, business casual, or if you got to wear a suit, man, then they got you covered no matter what. They make nice button downs, pants, ties, quarter zips, as you see right here. Chris just got his quarter zip. He loves it. Wrinkle free, stain free. They make fantastic products and very affordable too.
Yeah, you're going to get your clothes from Ann Collar, and you're going to be like, if you pay retail, like, how did it only cost this much? These things are amazing. They look great. They fit great. Like these are the best fitting clothes I've ever had. But it gets better because you're going to enter promo code SEC16 at Ann Collar, and that'll get you 16% off your entire order. I've been looking for clothes. I just don't have a lot of time to clothes shop and really don't have the desire to.
Until now.
Well, I kept telling my wife, like, get me these kind of clothes every Christmas and birthday. And guess what? Holidays would come and go. I would get nothing.
And Ann Collar's got your back.
They solved my problem. I don't need to beg my wife and my kids anymore. So they'll solve yours too. And also brought to you by Icon Wallets. I now use an Icon wallet. Again, thanks to you, Graham Doty. They make amazing wallets. They are about half the size of the traditional one that you carry. They carry your stuff much better, and they look a lot better than the one that I was carrying too.
Yeah, here's what you're working with. Different colors, different styles, leather, lasts forever. There's the money clip, whatever your favorite team is. They got a ton of them. They're working on getting all of the SEC. Here's an LSU example right here. There's this particular style. Your cards come out at the top. Just like that right there. Father-son company. One of the brothers went to Ole Miss, so SEC country. So we appreciate their support. And if you're in the market for a wallet, who doesn't have a wallet, right? Everybody has a wallet. These guys have got you covered. Icon wallets look good, and the wallet will last forever.
All right, I'm going to go to Gainesville next because this was another one. I'm watching a particular guy in a particular appearance to see what it looks like. And Liam Peterson for Florida was exactly what I wanted to see Liam Peterson be. They beat Kennesaw State 9-3 on Friday. He goes 5 1/3, strikes out 12, doesn't give up a run. Maybe just as importantly, just 2 free passes and 1 hit. Aiden King pitched like Aiden King on Saturday. Florida wins that one 11-0 in 7. King goes 6. And then Cooper Walls today was not good. The Hawaii transfer gave up 4 earned and 5. I can't remember how it went for him last week, and I want to say he might have struggled a little bit then too. But Jackson Barberi picked them up on the back end, one of their talented bullpen guys. He went 2 1/3 scoreless. And I think the thing, you circled this guy before the season, and man, he was good all 3 games. First baseman Ethan Surwick from Ole Miss didn't play much last year. You called it, Graham. You said he had a big summer. He's going to have a huge year in Florida. He was great all 3 games. I think he knocked in 9 runs over the weekend. Sam Miller started at third on Friday. We were watching that. Florida sweeps Kennesaw State, pitched great the first 2 days. Not so much today, but the offense came through and got 12 for them, and they sweep Kennesaw State.
Going back to the Surwoods thing, they just moved him down in the lineup, it looks like. And I don't know, sometimes you just need, some guys in front of you to get on base, and then you just settle in. But boy, did he have a monster weekend for sure for Florida. And then the other one is just is Lawson. Again, I don't know what position he will play since he literally plays almost anything but catcher, but that guy gets on base. And he was getting buzz on social media today by scout guys that wouldn't know, like, this is a potential 1-of-1 candidate when he's draft eligible.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to stay in the family of wanted to see how they pitched again this weekend, and that's Georgia. Now, Georgia scored a ton of runs.
Jeez,
it beat Samford 11-1, 12-5, and 22-0 on Sunday. But I wanted to see if the 2 Stanford transfers, who they thought they could fix, and apparently they did with release points and stuff. I saw something I think you sent me on Matt Scott that Joe Doyle had tweeted that they, I think, tweaked his release point to where it's 7 inches higher. He goes 4 innings, gives up a run, strikes out 9 yesterday. Joey Voltko on Friday was good again. 6 innings, gives up 1, strikes out 8, just 2 free passes. Control was an issue for him this summer. And then Dylan Veig in the 3-hole wasn't, well, I guess he was fine. He gives up 4, 3 free passes, gave up a hit. You'd like to see the control a little better. Their bullpen was perfect. They hit 11 home runs this weekend. Yeah, you didn't know where the home runs were going to come from with Georgia. Branch hit a couple this weekend. Like I say, you didn't know where they were going to come from. You didn't know which guys because they have so many. But the pitching is where I had my doubts about Georgia. And those starters, those 2 Stanford kids, really answered the bell for them this weekend with Kenny Ishikawa, who might have been their best one, out until, I guess, whenever the hairline fracture in that foot heals.
I want to go. You touch on Joe Doyle. If you're a baseball fan, and all of us are, is like you need to follow him on social media. He covers the whole country, but former scout that is just now in this, and he's just a lot of fun. And what I sent you was the tweaks that Georgia has made to the Stanford pitchers, and what I sent you in particular, the 7-inch change for over the top. Pretty much what Justin Verlander does. I mean, anytime you get compared to Verlander, like you're doing something good. And when you watch him pitch, like it is motion wise pretty identical to what Verlander does. Now, he's not triple digits on a consistent basis like Verlander, but who knows? Maybe he'll get there. To me, the storylines for Georgia this weekend, offensively, they looked incredible. They just crushed a pretty decent Samford team. Like this was not close. As you said, 11 home runs is a ridiculous number. They did all this without Kenny Ishikawa. That's got to make them feel really incredible. It just seems like they're going to put him on ice until SEC play. And then the other thing, can anybody tell me what in the world Wes Johnson was so upset about?
I would love to know. That was the most random, like it wasn't even a press conference. It was just let's assemble the media. I've got something to say. It'll go viral. And I will, I guess whoever it is I'm trying to out here will get the message.
Well, he didn't, and it's like, okay, what is that about? And then you just see everybody asking the same question, like something happened. What happened? And nobody has an answer. You would think somebody would know. And then also, like, I know the Braves are right down the road, but Georgia baseball, especially under Wes Johnson, this is too good of a team and too good of a program to get the not as much media coverage as some of these other teams in the league do. Like, don't you think? I think they need to be way more covered than what they have been.
For sure. And again, that's one of my favorite places. I just sent a text to someone to see who would know what he was upset about. I will share it if I
because it was statement and then like this is it, and he spun around and walked off.
Right. There were no questions asked.
Yeah.
There are not going to be any questions asked. Okay.
That had to be so. If you were standing there, that had to be something. Like everybody looking around, like what happened?
Hang on, I'm getting an answer. Hold tight.
Ooh, already.
Already. I thought it would be. Maybe a long answer. So I'll wait for it. And with that, let's see.
You got the 3 bubbles?
Yeah, I've got the 3 bubbles. They've been going on for a moment. But here's one. This has kind of been an undercovered storyline because you talked about it earlier. They don't get a lot of press. But Alabama is really pitching well. Tyler Fay has been the weak link to the rotation so far in the Friday night spot. He was okay. Gave up 3 earned in 5 innings, struck out 5, was wild again, 5 free passes. But Zane Adams, again, pitched like the Zane Adams they wanted. He goes 6 scoreless. He gave up 2 earned runs. Evan Steckmaster, one of their better bullpen arms, gives him 2 1/3, perfect. And then Miles Upchurch, the freshman, for the second straight week was really good. Alabama's offense is coming alive. They got home runs, I think, LeBron had homers. He had 2 of them on Friday, 1 of them on Saturday. They played 2 Saturday games. Did not play today. Johnny Lim, the transfer catcher, homered for them. Luke Vaughn starting to hit for them. He had a bomb this weekend. I think they got home runs out of what? About half their lineup, actually. Torres got one today. Brady Neal, if Brady Neal hits for them, he's very talented. He went 3 for 3 on Friday. Justin Osterhaus, the Purdue-Fort Wayne transfer, had a monster year ago. He hit one for them. You always figure out Rob Vaughn's clubs are going to hit a little bit, but the pitching is where they've leaked a little bit after their top 2 or 3 guys. And to see Alabama's rotation guys go out and pitch the way they pitched, particularly Upchurch and Adams, and the bullpen's been pretty good. Alabama's quietly had a really nice start. They lost that opener last Friday night to go 0-1, and have rolled off, I think 7 in a row now.
Yeah, they I want to give a shout out to their crowd. Their crowd really all 3 games looked pretty good. I know they had the doubleheader, but like I saw Rob Vaughn grab the baseball and would write notes and messages and throw it to the outfield, that student section out in right field. So to me, that's great. What Rob Vaughn is building in Alabama, I think he is doing outstanding work. And the fact that they were able to get a good crowd this weekend when, obviously football is a big deal there, but men's and women's basketball are ranked, and now baseball is rolling. So to me, that's positive signs, for Alabama baseball. And then as far as like on the field, like this is just what they do, especially at home. Man, they just take care of business in these non-conference home games under Rob Vaughn. And you see why Justin LeBron is so highly thought of in a potential, top 5 draft pick, whatever he may be. So yeah, they looks really, really good against an overmatched Rhode Island team.
Yeah. Okay, got my answer on Wes Johnson in Georgia. Not going to name names here, but he was upset about a question that related to him not playing freshman.
So that's what that was.
He's had a tendency to not play freshmen. Yeah, he was upset over that.
Interesting. So now we know.
Okay.
Also, if you're a freshman, it'd be tough to get in that, lineup since they brought in 26 transfers.
Yeah. Someone's getting on us about Cason Evans. I guess he gave up 3 infield hits. Didn't see it. Didn't pay for the D1 package this weekend. So my apologies.
Yeah, I didn't pay for it either. It was $30. So I can tell you who was happy. D1 baseball is happy because I'm sure LSU fans bought that package up a lot, especially with Lynn and Ben calling the games.
Hey, John, we'll own it, but just be nice about it. Okay. So anyway, we got that on the record. All right. Next up, let's go to, oh goodness. Okay. Here's one, Kentucky. Kentucky had one of the SEC's 4 losses this week. By the way, the record with the midweek games this week, 64-7. So pretty good week for the SEC. Kentucky this weekend, the one loss was a 1-0 game. Nate Harris gave them a really good outing. Their starters have been really good so far. Cleaver, it's interesting, I think, has done 4 innings in each of his 2 starts. I don't know if they're trying to limit his pitches a little bit more, which is weird because he's very durable. But in any case, he gives up 3 earned, I think, or 2 earned in 4 innings. They win that one 5-1. Jack Bennett in between the Western transfer on Saturday gave him 2 scoreless with the save. Jelkin was great again on Friday night in a 9-2 win. He goes 5, gives up a run, strikes out 7. And in the Saturday game too, they moved that up from Sunday. The bullpen was good. Skelding and Bounds were both really good. Harris was good, but they get beat 1-0 as the offense had 4 hits. Kentucky, I haven't looked it up. I'm going to guess they're at the bottom of the power categories. Thornish did get one from them this weekend, also stole another base on Saturday. Hudson Brown with 3 for 4 consecutive days. Kentucky takes 2 out of 3 at Evansville. So the Cats now have played both of their weekend series on the road.
Which makes sense. I was in Lexington last week. It is still cold and there's still like giant snow piles on the ground, depending on where you go. I thought it was interesting that of all places they go to Evansville, which is also a spot that's going to get a lot of snow. I've been to that ballpark. It's just one of those ballparks where you're just going to have to bring your own energy. And yeah, that is right. Remember last year, like he went to Belmont and to
Yeah.
Lipscomb to start the season. Mingione did. So to me, like Kentucky, they just do what they do. I'm looking up here. I want to see how many bases that they stole. They were leading the country in stolen bases, and trying to see what they did. They got looks like they got 5 stolen bases. So they definitely added to that total this weekend. Not the 23 that they did to kick off the opening weekend, but that's just kind of their calling card. And this is just what they've been able to do, like really the last handful of years, going back to when they went to Omaha 2 years ago. So they just kind of have their style, their identity, and they just take care of business. And, I'm curious to see what they look like moving forward, especially with no Tyler Bell. I didn't think the Tyler Bell injury really impacted them in a negative way this weekend.
Yeah. I don't say this in a bad way. Like Nick is a super smart coach. Nick Mingione really knows how to kind of game the RPI. They do that every year. They take a couple early trips, which, hey, it's frozen baseball in Lexington. Hard to play. So he'll go to some warmer weather places. I think he's been to the Carolinas to start the last 2 years, maybe. But that'll help him in the RPI. And look, a year ago, Kentucky barely got in the tournament. Now they deserve to be there, but stuff like that helps them. So anyway, yeah, Kentucky got a loss midweek to Morehead State. So Kentucky's offense is going to need to pick up, I think, a little bit. But the Cats get out with 2 or 3 on the weekend. All right, let's go. Speaking of storylines we did not expect to see coming into the season. Now we knew with Jason Esposito, he was a very highly regarded hitting coach in Cleveland's organization. I don't know if you have the stats in front of you, but is Vanderbilt still leading the NCAA in home runs after this weekend?
NCAA web, they're not gonna have them updated.
Okay, but like, do they update after the weekend, or do they update through Saturday?
Let's look it up. But you are right; they were leading the country in home runs coming into this weekend.
Yeah. Well, they got a few more this weekend. They only got 1 today. It was very cold and windy in Nashville. Not
last updated on the 19th. So
okay,
we don't know.
Okay, well, they hit. Let's see, how many did they hit this weekend? They got 3 Friday. They got 2 Saturday and 1 Sunday.
Lawless is saying they're second behind Georgia, which makes sense because Georgia hit 11 this weekend.
Right. So, yeah, Vanderbilt beats Marist, not one of the better teams the SEC faced this weekend. 16-5 and 8, 12-7, or 12-1 and 7, and then 8-1 today. I think Vanderbilt had run ruled 4 in a row. The weather kind of kept that down. I think for Vanderbilt, again, the power kind of the story. Logan Johnstone, I don't know if we talked about him once on this show. He is hitting out of that leadoff spot. I don't know who leads the SEC in on-base percentage, but it might be Logan Johnstone. And he's hit, I think, 3 home runs for them. Washington State transfer has been really good. They've got a lefty named Tommy Gooden, who's hit, I think, 3 home runs. Massive power guy from the left side. He's going to be a guy that didn't get talked about preseason that I think is going to be having potentially a big year. They've got depth. They've had 3 catchers homer already. They're pitching. Austin Nye was good again yesterday. Didn't give up a run in 5 innings. Connor Fennell kind of does what Connor Fennell does, doesn't give up hits, and when he does, they're home runs. He got the win Friday, going 5, giving up 2. And then Nate Taylor and Jacob Faulkner. Faulkner really struggled in Arlington, was much better today, combined to give Vanderbilt an 8-1 win today, with Braden Holcomb hitting another homer on the day the ball just was not carrying at all there.
So let me ask you this. Has your view and opinion of Vanderbilt changed one way or the other up to this point?
I think the hitting is going to be there. I think they've got like there's a lot of talent in that lineup. They got a lot of guys that can hit home runs. They've added a lot of bulk from a year ago. My question on them is going to be their pitching. Fennell's got to keep the ball in the park. Nye was pretty good again. And Nate Taylor's had kind of uncharacteristic control issues. But today weather was cold. That's not the best formula for control always. So I'll give them a little bit of a pass on that one. My concern is probably their bullpen right now, but they're also without probably a couple of their top arms, and they've only pitched. Oh, I'd have to look it up. I think they've got one lefty who's thrown for them this year, and I think it's been just over an inning.
Really?
Yeah, so they've got to get that. They've got to get some parts of that pitching fixed. But again, some of those pieces just have not been available.
I feel like that is a sentence you have not said a lot over the years about Vanderbilt baseball.
Nope.
To me, just one of the biggest hires in the offseason is just the new hitting coach for Vandy. Like, it just seems like that is already paying huge dividends. And I don't know, it's fascinating to watch because this is like a 180 of what they look like offensively a season ago, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, this is one of the teams that, like, if you take the jerseys off and get them off the bus, it looks more like LSU's looked than like Vanderbilt's looked physically.
Yeah. Which they're going to be fascinating to watch, especially if they keep this pace home run wise.
Yeah.
And David Keith is asking about Georgia Tech. Just from what I could see coming into the weekend, Georgia Tech wasn't top 20 in the country in home runs.
I wonder how many games they played at home.
Tech?
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming all of them up to this point.
Did they go somewhere first weekend?
I'll pull it up. But Incarnate Word and Vandy were tied coming into this weekend. But I know people were really high on Georgia Tech. But, first year head coach, all that stuff. They have looked good. I'm pulling it up. They just played.
Well, they've got Drew Burris might be the best player in the country, and Von Lackey's really found his power.
Yeah, so they've stayed in the state of Georgia up to this point. Their only road game was at Georgia Southern, who might have the worst pitching in the country if you look at their numbers. They've given up like 20 runs in every game.
Well, the reason I asked about whether they've been away, like the ball flies out of that yard, especially in warm weather. So at least when I've been there. So
yeah, that ballpark hadn't changed very much since you've been there.
Okay, let's see who we need to get to next.
We haven't touched on Oklahoma, have we?
Oh yeah, well, and we haven't. That wasn't like intentional. Just like I don't think there was a worse opponent this weekend than Coppin State. But man, I mean, they gave up one run all weekend. I think they run ruled all three of those games.
Boy, it felt like it. To me, nobody has passed the eye test more than the Sooners.
Yeah, I mean, like, first of all, the pitching was great again. Cam Johnson goes 5, strikes out 7, 1 free pass. LJ Mercurius goes 5, strikes out 7, allows 1 base runner, period. Cord Rager today, 5 shutout innings, strikes out 7. So the pitching was just as good as it was last weekend. Their box score is just like everybody in the thing is 2 for 3 with a walk. But they got home runs from Drew Dickerson a couple days. He's been really good. Dayton LaChance has been one of the better catchers in the league. He reached base 4 times today, reached base 3 times on Friday. Oklahoma's got who this coming weekend? I think they play in another event or something, don't they? Or they've got someone of substance.
I'll Google it.
I've got it right here. Hang on a minute. Well, they've got Gonzaga, which is okay. So, I mean, look, Oklahoma, we talked about who they played first weekend. They've got a midweek schedule. I think it's the toughest in the league. So, hey, I worried. One of my concerns about Oklahoma is they better bank some wins early with that schedule. Boy, have they done that. One of what is it? 4 undefeated teams now? in the league?
In the league, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And boy, they just overwhelmed Coppin State this weekend. Like they had 20 stolen bases as well. Like they would get on base, immediately steal it. It just felt like to me the pitching has kind of been what has impressed me the most. Cam Johnson, I mean, he's got to be up there as far as most impressive starting pitcher in the league through the first 2 weeks, right? In my opinion, like 7 innings, didn't walk anybody, 85 pitches, 54 strikes, only 3 hits. So, boy, they look good. And one reason why you and I just had question marks on them, you never know with junior college kids and just
Right.
and the new faces that they were able to bring in. But it seems like a smooth transition up to this point.
They had a 524 team on base percentage with 30
Jeez.
steals and 32 tries coming into today.
Yeah, and they had 20 stolen bases this weekend.
Yeah.
So, like, that's hard to do. Kentucky had 23 last week, 20 in a weekend is impressive.
And they've given up, what, 13 runs the whole year?
Yeah, well, they only won this weekend, so whatever
Yeah.
it was coming into this weekend, add 1 to it.
Yeah. Well, I think they give up, like, maybe 6 in the midweek. But, I mean, and people can say, okay, you played Coppin State and you played in the big league ballpark. Well, the ball was carrying in Arlington last weekend. But it wasn't carrying much against their pitchers. That's how good they've been.
Mhm. They got a strong midweek, Arizona State, Tuesday, Wednesday.
All right, let's see who we've got left. We have not hit Missouri, which beat New Haven 12-2-7, 12-5-7, and then 16-2-7. Missouri scoring a ton of runs, and I think to me the big thing was Javin Pimentel went 5, struck out 10, gave up a run. If Missouri can pitch a little bit, and some of this is going to be schedulated, I know, but got to love the way they've started. Last year, Missouri was struggling against some of these bad teams, and they've had their struggle. They lost one to Mount St. Mary's, lost one at Florida Atlantic, 4-2 midweek. But they're pitching a little bit, and their hitting has come every weekend. I think we thought Missouri would be better. We'll wait and see till they play some better teams, but you've got to love the way they've started.
To me, you got to be really ecstatic with their offense, right?
Yep.
They just weren't doing this last year against anybody. And I know kind of a fun point you brought up. New Haven, this is their first year of D1, right? Like they're making the jump from D2 to D1, and they play Missouri, and Missouri just crushes them. 16-2 in one of the games, but I was impressed offensively. We'll see what they look like pitching wise once the competition steps up a notch, but they just look better eye test wise than what we saw last year from Mizzou.
Coming into today, they have been hit by 30 pitches and walked 45 times. So I don't know if that's going to translate against better pitching. But that has been a team that has really taken advantage of, those sorts of things, which if, anybody needs to do that, but particularly Missouri just had issues hitting period last year. But you get on base and work pitchers. I think that gives them a shot to win some more games in the league than they did a year ago.
Yeah, I agree. And our guy, Pierre Seals, like he had a big weekend. He had at least 1 hit in every game, 3 for 6 today, it looks like. So, hey, that LASIK surgery worked, right?
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't see. Eric Maisonet has had I think kind of had a nice start for them. He was a JUCO guy that put up some pretty good numbers there. So yeah, I'm interested to see. They've got next weekend. Who?
They're probably on the road, right?
No, they finally come home for North Dakota State, I think. They played the first 2 weekends have been neutral site things, I think, in Florida.
Okay.
With the midweek in Florida, too. So,
That's a North Dakota State team that made the tournament last year, but absolutely got raided. I feel like half of their team is in the SEC this year.
Yeah, and that team will be going to Vanderbilt the next weekend. So this weekend's going to be fun because you get a lot of those teams. You get half the league literally playing in one of those classics with some other good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see who's left. I think South Carolina is the only team we haven't hit so far. Rocky start for the Gamecocks. They lose on Friday to Army 9-5. Riley Goodman struggled again in his start. Josh Gunther, their best reliever. Wake Forest transfer was bad. Talmadge LaCroix hit a home run for them. That's about all they had to cheer about there. And then they come out and they pitch it the next 2 days. Ant Phillips, who was not good a week ago, gives him 6 scoreless on Saturday. And then Brandon Stone, I don't know what happened here. I meant to look it up. Stone only went 3 1/3 today, gave up 1 earned, and only pitched to 14 batters. He's a really durable guy. So I don't know if there was an injury concern or something there. I didn't get to see except for the last inning or two of that one. So don't know what happened there. Alex Valentin, who's been great out of the bullpen, gave him 3 scoreless. Here's a name to watch. Will Craddock, a freshman who didn't play much, at least wasn't starting much, I don't guess. It looks like he's kind of come in as a true freshman and maybe made a claim somewhere in the lineup. He was a first baseman on Saturday, a DH today, hit a home run both days. So we talked about all those transfers that South Carolina got. Well, they got a freshman in the Friday spot, although Goodman's going to have to pitch better to stick there. And Will Craddock suddenly may be his guy who's making a claim at getting a regular job there in Columbia.
So I was in Columbia this weekend, and I wanted to go to the game on Saturday. The weather wasn't the best, and they just moved the game time. They just kind of bounced it around, so just couldn't make it work with my schedule. I just wanted to see them in person because I love going to that ballpark. Chris, the vibes I was getting just from talking to South Carolina fans and just people involved around that university. Restless would be the word that I would use with the state of the athletic program as a whole, and especially the baseball program. They just from multiple conversations, they're incredibly frustrated right now. This is the fan base because this is a sport that they dominated in when I was in school, the late 2000s. Like they played for 3 natties in a row. Like they nobody wanted to play South Carolina. And then now it's like the sport where they care a ton in, they're not what they once were. And that just drives them crazy. So the league is way more invested now than when Ray Tanner was the coach. And to me, like, this is going to be fascinating to just see. It just feels like, I don't know how you get a read on it, but it just feels like it's going to be a roller coaster, like hot seat, ice cold, hot. Like there's going to be no in the middle with South Carolina this year. It just feels like it's going to be one extreme or the other.
Yeah. Again, my concern for them coming in was the pitching, and then McCoy got hurt, out before the season even started. The pitching's been fairly good so far. Ant Phillips was a guy that I thought could be their dude. Was that yesterday? Not so good the first week. I mean, the pitching has been better than I thought it would be. So I think hitting is where I thought they'd be stronger. And so far, I feel like that's relatively where they've struggled. So I guess if you're a glass half full guy, you could say, hey, look, they brought in all these guys, these transfers, these JUCO guys, the Dawson Harmons, like that. Patrick Evans has done some stuff for them. I think there's a world in which they can put together a competent lineup. The pitching is where I wondered, and they pitched it really well so far. So I think that there's a path for Carolina here, but with McCoy out already, they've got to get it picked up in that Friday spot. And I'd like to know what happened to Brandon Stone today. I'm going to look that one up. Meant to Twitter search that, because if he left that start early for something health related, then I'm a little bit more concerned about them.
Yeah, I'll look it up too, but I still think they're going to be better than what they were last year, just because historically that is what Paul Maneri has done, especially in year 2. But
Yeah.
again, I think they might take a little more time than normal, just since they brought in the most amount of new portal additions with 27. So I typed in Brandon Stone. I'm not seeing anything on social media.
Okay. Jack Veltri tweeted this. Brandon Stone struck out the first 2 batters of the day. The next 3 reached base, loading the bases with 2 outs. Parker Marlott was warming up in the bullpen. That was the first inning. After throwing 34 pitches in the first inning, Veltri tweets, Stone only needed 9 to get through the second, retire the side. And then, okay, Logan, I was going to say maybe it'd make more sense if Marlott came in at that point, but for whatever reason, that's weird. Like, he got through an easy inning. I don't know what, I guess the third, couldn't have thrown that many pitches. Maybe in the teens. Anyway, the Stone is a guy that he's been pretty durable. He's an older guy, he's a JUCO guy. So I'm not sure. Maybe they want to give somebody else a chance to get in a little bit of a pressure spot and see what there was there. But it was interesting to me that he got pulled as soon as he did.
62 pitches, 38 strikes.
Yeah, and remember, he threw a complete game a year ago.
Yeah, against Ole Miss and under 80 pitches. It was insane.
Yeah.
You just don't see anything like that anymore.
Oh, I like this question from David Keith Williams. Heard on an interview of Coach Schlossnagel, said it takes 25 games to determine how good a team is. Always thought 5 series would be enough. What's your view?
I think in college baseball, it is different than the minors and Major League Baseball. So in college, 25 games, that is half the season, basically. So I just think in college, it is way harder to get a sense and a feel. To me, like in college, 25, that number might be too big, right? Because if you're halfway done through 25 games and it's like, you're telling me you're going to figure out like, okay, this team is really good, or like we're not good. It takes you 25 games in college. I don't know. Like analytics in college baseball are just so challenging to figure out what works, what doesn't work, just because look, in Major League Baseball and in the minors, like it might take you 40 to 60 games to figure it out.
You're not wrong about the part of that being half the season. And that's the issue with college baseball. Is it like you can miss a little bit of time and all of a sudden you have missed half the year unless your team goes to postseason. But I think he's right. In fact, I thought the number might even be a little bit low because I've seen so many teams that'll run off like a 12 or 13 game losing or winning streak this time of year, end up not making regional because they haven't played anybody. And I've seen some teams that struggled early against good teams, and fans gave up on them, and you're sitting there going, hey, wait a minute, they have played some teams while their competitors are not. So I would say even – I mean, look, there's some teams that are elite, right? Like I'm thinking like 2022 Tennessee. They ran out and just stomped the world.
Tight.
Yeah.
In the supers.
Yeah, and well, they were. And you're right about that. That was another – interesting deal, but I think, I don't think they've been challenged like that all year, and it didn't go well. But I do think, like, because of schedules, right? You can sometimes catch, you could play nobody out of conference, and then you can catch maybe the softer end of a conference schedule. And I mean, I guess in the SEC, you're going to get tested against anybody through half the season. But I think he's right. I just think I've seen too many teams that run through an easy first month, and then it gets real when the SEC starts.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen that countless times over the years, and Wes says it in the chat. So, like,
yeah, see, this point too. This is an even better point than I made.
This is, I mean, obviously, like I can't tell you how many times I watched that team play in person, but they were 7-14 at one point. That's a team they were number one in the country at one point, hit their lull mainly because of injuries and just weren't playing good baseball. And then they figured it out. And they literally were the last team in the tournament and ended up just getting insanely hot out of nowhere, winning the Miami Regional Supers at Southern Miss and then losing once in Omaha.
Yeah.
To me, that's like the poster child of this, like in a best case scenario way. That was an insanely talented Ole Miss team that just had injuries and just weren't playing good baseball for about a month, and then they just figured it out. So,
Well,
it can happen.
It depends too on who you are. Like, let's say Texas this year. Like, we kind of know what Texas is because most of that lineup was there a year ago. A lot of the pitching staff was there a year ago, and then the dudes they added were like Aiden Robbins and Tenney, guys that were like potential first team All-American guys. So, like Texas, I'm going to go like I don't need 25 games to know what Texas is. But I might need that
same with
to know.
like LSU. We don't need 25 for LSU.
But like I'll give you teams this year. We might need 25 to know who they are. I think you could say it with maybe Alabama. I think you could maybe say it with Georgia. So much of that lineup being new. I could argue either way on Florida and even Auburn with so much of pitching being new. Kentucky, I could certainly argue it. Missouri, we'll know more when they play better teams.
Carolina too.
Yeah, and even Oklahoma, even as good as it's been, these guys haven't faced, this rotation hasn't faced SEC lineups yet. Tennessee, I think we're not quite sure what Tennessee is after this weekend. Vanderbilt, as good as some parts have looked, I want to see what the better part of their bullpen does against some better teams. So I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's just I kind of feel like this is just a question that's been asked a lot for college baseball. Like, what is the number to where you get a good sense and a feel?
Yeah.
Because again, like look up, you don't have the benefit of time like you do in the minors or Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and again, look at how many teams in this league right now are playing opponents who just didn't get much of a run up to the season, at least in an outdoor sense. They hit indoors in cages and did whatever, but you don't get out and get the field and do all the things that are required of you as a baseball player. North of the Mason-Dixon line and even south this year with the ice storms and the cold. I think that's part of it too.
SC Scout guy, yeah, 90 minutes, baby. We just touched on your Gamecocks.
That is what we do here, and that also means it's probably time to get some sleep and get ready for tomorrow. But Graham, I've enjoyed it. It wasn't even a great week of baseball, to be honest with you. It's one of the worst weekends of the year in terms of baseball because the schedules weren't great. Now, next weekend is going to be interesting. The weekend after that, everybody's playing layup games
and then
before conference play starts. But yeah, I mean, it's next weekend will be interesting. But like even in weekends like this where the competition wasn't all that interesting, we found plenty to discuss.
Yeah. And I guess as we get ready to wrap this one up, like two big picture takeaways. Auburn look really, really, really good. And then just want to see how Tennessee responds.
Do you want to do players of the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, we can. Who do you have in mind?
I think Colin Fisher's your pitcher of the weekend. Like you go 8 innings and give up one runner, don't give up any runs. He struck out 11 or 12. I'm going to go with him. Hitting wise, man, there were a bunch of candidates.
Yeah, to me, you got Cam, especially hitting for the cycle.
Yeah,
Surratt's at Florida.
Yeah, Ryder Helfrich was good.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan Bingaman at Auburn was good. Let's see. Who are we missing? I mean, Georgia had so many different guys hit home runs. Colby Branch hit them in different days.
Yeah, I feel like you can pick a handful of guys from Georgia with what they did.
You know what? I'm going to go with a guy that we haven't even mentioned yet. I'm going to go with Cade Arambidi of LSU because not only did he catch 2 of the 3 games and DH the other, he gets on base 6 times on Friday, homers Saturday, and then homers Sunday. All things being equal, catch 2 games and do that, you're my guy.
Good pick. I'll go with Cam just because my man picked up an armadillo like it was nothing, just like it was a Tuesday, and then he goes to the ballpark and hits for the cycle.
Yeah. All right, well, it's been fun. We'll do power rankings tomorrow. We'll do them live, I think. Don't know the time yet because we got a couple of schedule conflicts, but we'll do them at some point tomorrow. Best way to make sure you get them, hit the subscribe button and enable your notifications. That will tell you when we go live. Of course, there's always ways you can help the channel. For free, you can give us a like and a subscribe. That is free. Leave us a rating wherever you get your podcast. We really appreciate that. 5 stars, nice, if that's what you think of us. And join one of our membership tiers. Those are $3.99, $5.99, and $19.99 a month. And hey, super chats. Had a couple of those early from Quinn. We could use a few more of those. So if you like our work, leave us one of those too. Anyway, prayers to the Wes Rucker family on the loss of just a great dude and a guy who was super talented in our profession. Really been thinking of those guys, and you just feel awful for what happened there. But anyway, God bless you guys. Have a great week. For Graham Doty, I'm Chris Lee. You have been watching Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.